Hello! Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Cinema Regulars, where we see so many films in theaters that the employees know us by name and they don't ask us what movies we're seeing, they ask us how many. Isaac and I just got back from another triple feature. Today we are looking at Camp Hideout, one that neither of us really knew anything about, but thought we threw that into the mix just for fun. The Retirement Plan, starring our favorite actor in the world, Nicolas Cage.
Nick Cage, my
And
boy.
then that's right, and then we rounded it off with the brand new Haunting in Venice, based off the Agatha Christie book. And we are ready to jump in, Isaac. Anything else to say before we jump in here?
To preface, the name of that Agatha Christie book in question is called Halloween Party, just so
Right,
people know.
true, but it's yeah, that's right. All right, so let's start out let's do this in chronological order and begin with Camp Hideout.
Yes,
Now,
let's.
this one was very under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm subscribed to a couple movie trailer channels on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, and they are pretty much like the day trailers drop, like from the studio itself, like they're on it within the next hour. They got the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even I haven't heard of this like through either of those. You didn't even realize that this was a PG rated movie directed more towards a younger audience
Mm.
until I pointed it out on the poster as we were walking in.
No, literally all I knew about this movie was I was just looking at movies we could go see, and I was just like, oh, like this is another movie. I kind of liked the caricature art for like the trailer. Like, that was
Yeah,
cool.
that was on the poster. Yeah, that
And
was
so I was
alright.
like, here, I'll just check out the trailer. And I'm going along and I'm like, Corbin Blue? What? Is Christopher Lloyd? All right, I'm in. Like, discount Cameron
Well,
Boyce?
oh yeah, we'll probably have the I'll make sure we have that specific movie poster like in the middle for this one, but you can see
Yeah.
like on the poster there's like this Augustus Gloop looking kid. There's like square headed cordon bleu, and then you have this Christopher Lloyd, which if you ask anyone else with eyes, looks more like J. Jonah Jameson than anything else.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but enough about making fun of the poster itself. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a caricature, so it's supposed to be funny. But moving on to the actual movie, I had no preface of this. I didn't know what this was going to be about besides camp. I'd have to say this is probably, by my count, there were 3 camp movies released this year alone, and this is probably the best of them.
Yes. Most likely.
And yeah, I kind of like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Much like it's very along the lines of every single angsty teen that goes to summer camp where he's not having it at the beginning. He's just like, this is stupid. I don't want to be here."
Mm-hmm.
Um but then, he gets to know the kids more, he starts caring about them, and then at the end he's like, "Oh, I love this camp. I love everybody here." And in a weird way, that's kind of how I feel about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like immediately when he gets to the camp, there's this the camp counselor Becky with a B, of
Yes.
course,
Becky with a B.
and she's yeah, I don't know what else it would be with,
Yeah.
but yeah, immediately out the gate, she's just the most perky damn thing on the market, and it's like to the point where it's immediately irritating, and so yeah, going through this, you're just like, wow, I don't like any character on the screen. But then it actually gets better as it goes on, and you start warming up to the movie itself. And I mean, that's not a thing that they could possibly like plan on. Like they can't like manufacture that experience, but like it's cool that somehow they hit all the right notes to actually make it better so you warm up to the movie along with the character warming up to the camp.
Mm-hmm. It was it was very interesting, like, because it had very much the same algorithm that a lot of camp movies like that have,
Oh,
but at the
yeah, absolutely. Like, this was literally like Ernest Goes to Camp meets Home Alone, and that's everything
yeah.
you need to know about the movie, really.
Well, there was the one thing about the movie that actually was kind of cool,
Oh yeah,
was
that
the fact that
yeah.
the
Go
movie
ahead.
was like kind of subtly like faith based. It was kind of subtly Christian, which is really cool.
Yeah, they had. Yeah, they had. Uh. Yeah, they had unhidden like Christian undertones in this movie. Like they
Mhm.
had like a cross in the camp. Like they like prayed together, and then at the end of the movie, there's he goes back to the camp counselor and he works at a church and he's talking about like, oh, I was a troubled kid like you, but then I got on a better path, and he's like,
Mhm.
whatever. So I mean, you don't. Point being, you don't see that stuff nowadays a whole lot. You don't see
Mhm.
movies that are unafraid to be Christian because that's kind of taboo nowadays in the public square.
The thing I like about it is that the movie is it has unhidden, like you said, unhidden Christian things in it, but it is not a specifically faith-based movie, and that is something
Right, like that's not.
that is something that is extremely rare. Like that, we have faith-based
Yeah,
movies all over the place, but this specific type of thing is very rare.
yeah, don't get us wrong. It's not. They're not going to Jesus camp. They're going to regular camp. They do like all sorts of camps, so swimming, climbing, whatever, hiking. It's
Mhm.
just that like they incorporate it like it was a normal thing.
Yeah,
Like
they
it
didn't
is.
make
Like
a
it
big
wasn't
deal out of
like
it.
that wasn't the point of it. Like that was in the background. Like there was other stuff going on in the movie. Like I felt that was very easy and relaxed. Well, not like
Mhm.
relaxed, but you know what I mean. Like it
Wasn't
wasn't the
forced.
focus point of it, but it was in there. It wasn't, yeah, forced. It wasn't forced at all. It was just a natural part of the movie, of the story, of the setting, and
Yeah.
the people. So I thought that like blended like perfectly
Mhm.
into it. Um, yeah, I thought this was just like a nice family movie.
Oh
Like
yes.
if I were to take my hypothetical kids to see this, like I wouldn't be tortured in my seat like if we were going to
Mhm.
see like Trolls or something. Because so many kids movies nowadays, like they don't take into consideration the parents who have to go with their kids to see that,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, like it's gotta be like hell on all the parents being dragged to go see things like that, and like I feel like this is actually a decent family movie because they say family movie, but a lot of the times they just mean child appropriate. Like a lot of family movies being made now like aren't thinking about the whole family watching this together. It's like your kids will be fine watching this. But I felt like parents and even older siblings, like you and I, we're like 24 right now, so we were good with this movie. It wasn't like too childish. I mean, there were characters that were really annoying because they were childish, but like
Mhm.
that was part of their charm
Yeah.
almost.
So yeah, one of the things that wha- kind of like the charm I liked about the movie was that the main kid, like I I made a joke earlier that he was discount Cameron Boyce. Rest in peace. Bless that situation with him and his family. But like, the kid looked a lot like him. and he had a lot of the same mannerisms as the characters that he played, and it was kind
Yeah,
of cool to see that character
yeah,
again.
you wouldn't shut up about that in the theater.
I know,
I
but
think you
like
mentioned that like a full 3 times.
I did because it was just uncanny. Like he literally looked like Cameron Boyce if you just squeegeed the freckles off. Like that's what he looks like. I swear to God.
Alright.
Like
Any,
it was crazy,
any
but
actual point?
well no,
Any
what I
actual
mean
like
is that
thoughts on the movie?
what I mean is just that character. The character was really cool because he was believable as uh like like a criminal, which is like what he was at the start of this,
Hmm.
and like so, but he also had that kind of like softness to him that you saw come out through over the course of the movie as he got some support from people that weren't just using him like the two
Yeah.
guys. And oh my gosh, those two guys were like the biggest morons ever. Like the fact that they
Well,
were a
okay.
threat at all in this movie.
What adult threats in kids' movies are not complete morons?
You're I mean, you literally said earlier it's Ernest Goes to Camp mixed with Home Alone, complete with the bad guys from Home Alone.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Um. I I would like to take a break about tooting this thing's horn a whole lot. It was. I'll go on to some more negative things about it for a bit.
Mhm.
I don't have a whole lot to say negative other than the overall blanket of like it wasn't that interesting.
Mhm.
Like I mean it kept my attention right, but I wasn't too invested in it. Like a lot of the characters I, didn't care about.
Mhm.
There was a couple like nice scenes, I guess. I think only really one of the jokes landed. I think I only laughed once, and it was when well, I told you I was like, all right, that's a good one. That's the first good joke in this. It was when the two bad guys showed up and there was nobody in the camp, and they were by the lake, and a beach ball just like bounced into the scene across like in front of them, like it was a tumbleweed, but it was a beach ball instead. I thought that was clever.
Mhm.
But other than that, like none of the jokes really hit very well. There was weird parts where he would literally like turn towards the camera and like break the fourth wall, but he only did that for like a sentence each time and only like 4 times throughout it. So it's kind of like if you're gonna do a fourth wall thing, do it evenly throughout, like Malcolm in the Middle did, or
Mhm.
like Deadpool or something like that, or just not at all, or just leave it. Okay, like I'm really weird when they do it like not enough to warrant that tactic being necessary.
Yeah,
You
that
know what
is
I
fair.
mean? I
There
mean,
was
it's just something that doesn't sit well with me. It's like if you're gonna do fourth wall things, like make that the thing.
yeah.
You know?
The that is a good point to bring up. Another point that I was like trying to think of is that they they did a lot of like things where it's just like, oh, this solves our well, I don't want to say a lot, but it's like, oh, this specific thing solves our problem. Like he brings up the fact that like he has the thing that's password encrypted, and the kid
Yeah.
in his cabin just pipes up. He's just like, oh, it's like, unless you know someone to take care of this, you mean like someone who's a child prodigy, and the
Tech
CIA
wizard
talked to
and
me. The CIA talked to me about my science project, which was
yeah,
what?
I'm like that was awfully convenient.
Like
Not
what?
to mention the fact not to mention the fact that after they get the thing encrypted, it's like a map on a mountain, and then they were like, "That's a story for another day," setting up for a sequel. That
No one asked for.
is weird. No one asked for. I didn't even know this movie was existing, and now you're setting up a sequel. I don't get it, dude. Um, anything else you want to add in about this?
I one character in the movie that I actually wanted to bring up that I really liked
The
how they
Lord?
did. The
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 Lord?
Lord, the best character. But no, I was talking about Christopher Lloyd's character. How he's like, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, he crosses the box, crazy camp owner check, but like, it was kind of cool to see like him, like just Christopher Lloyd acting again. Really, that's really all it was. Like, and the dog named Lazarus went kind of hard.
that's that do go kind of hard.
Like the dog, like it was like the devil dog in the movie. Like the kids were all scared of it and everything, and they named him Lazarus. That's a sick name for a dog. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was that uh Blue was an oddly was like, I don't want to say oddly, but like I never thought to put him in the role of like a youth pastor type deal. And I actually really liked him in that role.
Yeah,
I would
he
like
did
to
kind
see
of
him
have.
do more.
He did play that vibe off very well. I will admit that.
Makes me like it makes me be like, okay, there's like almost no way that he doesn't have this like kind of faith in his actual life. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, or at the very least, it makes me really hope he does.
No, I mean, he played it like that, and most people who would be willing to play roles like that genuinely, I feel like they would have it would have to
Yeah.
actually have that kind of faith in their life. Um. All right.
Moving on to
I think we've
rankings.
said pretty much. Yeah. Moving on to rankings. I'm gonna give this one a nice 5.
Hmm.
That's not a bad thing in this case.
No.
It's just a very average um family movie. I mean, most family movies nowadays don't even make it to 5, so that's very good for
Hmm.
something like that because kids in family movies usually is like a free pass to not try. And, they actually tried in this one. I mean, it's nothing personally I enjoyed a whole lot. I mean, just overall, because I mean, it was a thing to watch. It was kind of nice, but that's the best I could really say about it. Um, so yeah, I think a nice middle of the row 5 would be good for this one.
Uh, yeah, I actually I actually want to give this one like nice a nice not a high, but like a low 6 actually, because I
Okay.
I quite enjoyed this movie a lot, and it was enough of a fresh breath of, like, it was obviously another camp movie, but it was enough of a breath of
Hmm.
fresh air that I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I went into this movie thinking it was going to be very mid, and it genuinely
Hmm.
surprised me. Like, I was happy with the outcome of this movie, so I'm gonna give it a low
Yeah.
6.
I think the quote "a breath of fresh air" for family movie genre is a good, perfect way to summon up what this movie is.
Mhm.
All right. All right. That should do it for Camp Hideout. Moving on to the next one, we have the retirement plan. Isaac, I went first last time, so I'll let you kick this one off.
So we got our boy Nick Cage in yet another movie this year, the fifth one he's been
Yeah.
in so far this year. And
Yeah. And I
like,
think there's a sixth one before the year's out.
yeah, probably the dude doesn't stop working. But so this movie, for a little preface thing, was like it was like Nicolas Cage playing this like old like government agent that's just trying to like just stay retired.
He's a retired government agent. Yeah, yeah.
He's a retired government agent, and like his daughter just gets in some trouble, and like sends sends his granddaughter,
Her
her
daughter.
daughter, yeah. Well, his daughter gets in trouble, so she sends her daughter. I don't want to say that because it's like a lot of steps there.
Okay. Yeah,
To him, and he has to just try and like protect her, and it's just Nicolas Cage just absolutely just destroying these guys as like this old 70, like 60, 70-year old man.
yeah, he's like Ron Perlman's in it, and he's literally on the phone in the movie. He's like the old guy. He's killing everybody.
Yeah,
It's like we sent 15 people after him, and they're all dead.
that's another thing. It was really nice to see Ron Perlman in this movie. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I really like Ron Perlman, and I like it when he plays a character that isn't just there to be the muscle.
Yeah,
He,
he's a pretty good actor.
yeah, he is. But like some of the stuff in this movie was just like, huh? Like the first time he kills someone. Spoiler alert. The first time he kills someone in the movie, he just like grabs a dumbbell off the beach and just bashes his skull in, and then chucks it at the other dude. Like, okay, like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought the kills were gruesome, but they were
Mhm.
not overly brutal.
We're
I
not.
mean, he
No.
blew up he shot a flare into a guy's mouth, but I mean, it wasn't like gory or like anything. Like it was just fire coming out of his mouth, and they fell down. Um, like in practice, the kills that they did would have been gruesome and brutal, but they didn't go too far showing it, which I thought was pretty decent.
Like it seemed efficient.
Yeah.
Also,
Um,
another thing that I really liked about this, uh, surprise Ernie Hudson.
that's true.
That was pretty cool. There
That's
wasn't
true.
really much to say about this. Like, I actually honestly don't have an insane amount to say about this movie. Like, it was just enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
There's nothing about it that stood too far out for me.
I mean,
Uh,
Nicolas Cage is his usual Nicolas Cagey self,
yeah,
which I mean is always a good thing. I would say the best thing about this movie is Nicolas Cage.
yeah,
And
he
Nicolas
was.
Cage is the best thing out of any Nicolas Cage movie.
Oh yes,
Um, one other thing that I did like though is that Ron Perlman's character, who's working for the mafia,
yeah.
he kidnaps
Bobo.
Nicolas Cage's granddaughter, and they actually have like kind of a reverse Stockholm syndrome thing going on.
Yeah,
Like Ron Perlman, like as they talk about the book she's reading and they get pizza together and they're in the hotel room while he's keeping an eye on her. Like he actually starts developing a soft spot for her and not
yeah,
wanting to kill her when he's ordered to. So it's the kidnapper, getting too emotionally attached to the victim, which is an interesting play on that. And I thought that was a very sometimes I usually don't like it when the B plot to a movie or show is takes up way more screen time than the A plot should.
hmm
Um, but I felt like this was like equally enjoyable to watch those two and their story, as well as Nicolas Cage and his daughter doing their side with all the action.
yeah. So there was another character in the movie that I did go Isaac mode silently on my
Of
own.
course you did.
Oh, because it was killing me that I couldn't think of where I had seen him. The guy who played Donnie in it,
Yeah.
and like as I went, do you know? Do you recognize him?
That wasn't that wasn't Teddy, was it?
No, that
No.
was Rorschach.
Really?
Yeah, the guy that played Donnie is Rorschach.
That's that's a shocker. I would never in my thousand guesses you would have given me. I would never have gotten that.
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
like,
Yeah, I didn't notice that at all.
I was sitting there and I'm like, it's something about his like the way his mouth is and like the kind of gravelly in his voice. I'm like, God, I freaking know that. He's Rorschach,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's where it's from. Like,
Yeah.
that was just wild for me to be like, huh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. One more one more criticism I have on this movie is I can't for the life of me tell if the ending was supposed to be a joke that didn't play off very well or just really lazy writing.
I was leaning
Um
towards very lazy writing.
yeah, because I don't know if I picked up on this immediately, but in the end, where the big bad, the head of the mafia takes Nicolas Cage's daughter and granddaughter, she's got them both.
Yeah.
Um, and then the the guy Ron Perlman works for comes up and he shoots the mafia boss, taking control over the
Mm-hmm.
situation, and she dies. And then after that, the CIA agent comes in and shoots him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the CIA agent's assistant, who was double crossing her the whole time, she shoots him. And it's just like this whole thing is coming off. It's like all the side characters throughout the whole movie are coming in and just shooting each other one by one. And the three main characters in the movie are just sitting on a bench watching it like it's a
Oh,
spectacle sport.
we're
I'm
talking
like,
about it like that. So I took
yeah,
that. That is slightly lazy writing, but what
like yeah, they're just sitting there doing nothing, and everyone's just shooting each other one by one in front of
the
them, and they're
way
just like, yeah, we're good here.
the way I saw it
What? Yeah,
in that moment,
what did you mean?
because the way I saw it, like, so when I thought you meant when you said the ending was as he drives off, and he's like, I guess he's going back to the Caymans. Like, okay, cool.
No,
No, I didn't realize you were talking about that. So that is again somewhat lazy writing, but they did set it up a small bit because like
no,
the
I mean they set it up. I didn't mean that they didn't like do any big execution of this. They didn't have like a big
yeah,
monologue from anyone
it all
who
happened in the span of 5 minutes.
shot each other. Yeah, I mean, like it was like literally the three of them sat there, didn't say a word. They just sat on a bench while everyone else was like, just they were just shooting each other one by one, just picking off the remaining side characters. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
all right,
I feel like it was
you
less
guys,
less
I'll
late.
sit here and take a nap while you guys finish up plots C through F.
I think it was less. Well, it was one part lazy writing, and two parts bad writing in the sense of the execution. Well, okay, so
It's
they
like, oh
wanted.
shit, we're at the end of the
Oh,
movie. What do we do with
uh,
all these?
yeah, that's the thing. It's lazy writing in the sense that they just were like, oh, they're just gonna kill everyone in this moment. Like that's the lazy part. But that's also the bad part is that they probably had that same thing. Oh, we're almost at the end of this movie. And we have all these characters that are supposed to die. Let's just kill them all. Let's just kill them all really, really quickly. Like if they would have milked that scene a little bit more, like given it a little more drama and a little more suspense, it would have been better. It would have been so
Mhm.
much better. Like they could have had so much more to that scene, but like they just went just bang, 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 go home. Like
That's true.
that's basically how that movie how it ended.
Yeah. Okay, before we wrap this up, I want to point out one little thing. Um, the hot dogs in that movie.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
them
it looks
shit, them shit.
awesome.
They look bussin'. They made
Oh,
me hungry for a hot dog, but I knew that the hot dogs at the theater were not gonna be as good.
speaking of criticisms, one thing that I actually like confused me. Like, okay, I
Yeah.
understood why they did it because they were setting it up to be this, but like, it still just was like, why are we doing this? Was every time a character would get introduced, it would have a freeze frame, and this little splash of thing came in, and it would have their name on it, and I'm like, okay,
Oh yeah,
that's
it had
really
the whip crack sound effect as
yeah.
like a Smash Brothers intro.
That is a thing in spy movies, but this movie is not a spy movie. It doesn't feel like a spy movie at
And
all. It's a gay, but like the thing I'm talking about is just like they even did it for the daughter, like the little girl who's like I'm just sitting here like, and they would do it at inconsistent times for each character.
yeah, like they
Like
introduced a character like within like 20 minutes of the movie closing, and they still did it. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot you were doing that.
yeah, exactly.
I interpreted that was more like a stylistic thing for me, like comedy that like it was a joke in and of itself.
hmm
I I don't know where you're getting spy movie from, and that only spy movies are allowed to do shit like that.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying that's
I'm
like a
putting words
spy
in your
movie
mouth.
thing.
I'm
Yeah.
dismiss that comment. I'm putting words in your mouth. I'm just saying like it doesn't have to be a spy movie or be imitating a spy movie or anything like that.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know. I just thought it was like some like semi funny thing to do. Like that was just how they introduced all the characters. It caught me up to speed, damn straight. I'll tell you that.
Well, it
Um,
was very nice to have the name next to the face, so that way we don't have to keep track of who's who in the sense of like through
I'm
context.
I'm still confused on the Matt or Jim thing, and
Yeah,
I don't think what you
well, the Matt or Jim
because
thing was
Nick.
just he was a government agent. He has many aliases.
No,
So,
he literally said to his granddaughter, she's like, "Are you Jim?" He's like, "No, Jim's the other guy." And
oh,
I'm
interesting.
like, "Okay, I don't know what that means."
Well,
Like, do you
because
mean
then she
like
said,
your other personality? Do you mean your other like secret persona that your pseudonym or something? They just never come back to that. They
she
never come
says,
back to that. Not even like a passing word about it.
she said, "Are
They
you
just
Jim?" And
never
he's
come
like,
back to
"Nah,
that.
he's the other guy." I took that as him as an agent playing off like playing off the thing where it's like, oh no, that's this guy. But then she brings up Matt, and he's like, wait, how do you know? How do you like knowing both of those names is kind of what made him go like, wait, how do you know both? How do you know those names? Like, how do you know them? Like,
I don't know.
I took that as I just
I think you may have mm, we may not correctly be remembering the order of the conversations.
hmm,
All I'm saying is that he mentioned Matt and Jim as both his names, and then he said Jim is the other guy, and then they never said another thing after that about it to reference it or explain anything. That never had a comment like, "Oh, he used the name Jim," or anything. They just literally they set that up like it was a joke, and then they just forgot about that aspect.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, this one there's not a whole lot we can really say about it. I mean, it was
Hmm.
Nicolas Cage, so I enjoyed it. Had a couple good laughs at the guy. He's always good for that.
Yeah.
Um, Heading over to the rankings, I'm gonna land this one squarely in the middle of 6. This is gonna be a nice 6. Not a whole lot to write home about, but is Nicolas Cage doing his darndest out there? And what more could you need?
I'm gonna also give it a 6 out of 10 because
Okay.
Like, I did enjoy this better than I did Camp Hideout. Uh,
Yeah.
but like, I still didn't enjoy it so much that I feel like it needs to leave the category.
Okay. Okay.
It was a fun Nicolas Cage movie. That's all you can really say about it. Like, I enjoyed myself.
Yeah. I mean,
I like Nicolas Cage, and the action was at least semi decent. So
all right. That's a fair statement, I think. All
moving
right.
on to our final movie of the day, A Haunting in Venice. Want to take that?
Indeed. Yeah. Um. So before we get into the actual reviewing of Haunting in Venice here, um, I think we need to introduce them to another term that you and I have created for our movie outings here, and that is the concept of a spirited.
Yes.
Yes. So Spirited gets its name from the first movie this happened with, which is Spirited. Uh, Came out last year during Christmas.
Ryan
Ryan
Reynolds, Will
Reynolds
Ferrell.
and Will Ferrell musical movie, and it's basically the Christmas Carol story, but in a musical and modernized and all that. Isaac's big into musicals. He's big into Ryan Reynolds. I'm not into musicals, and I'm indifferent on Ryan Reynolds. So Isaac says, obviously, he wants to go see it. I would rather not. We have reached an impasse.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of us really like going to see movies alone.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're not both on board for a movie, we're probably not going to go see it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So we've introduced the concept of a spirited, named after this movie, where if one of us really wants to go see a movie and the other one really doesn't, 2 times a year, they can use their spirited and pretty much just strong arm the other person into going for the sake of the first person. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to go see Spirited, but Isaac did. So as a good friend, I was like, all right, I can see you really want to do this. I'll go. Um, and that was kind of a thing from then on in. And Isaac, I won't mention the last one you used
Yeah,
because
you know.
because of that one, the last one you used, we had to add a caveat to that, where if the person who didn't want to go turned out to be right,
Yeah.
that we shouldn't have seen it in the first place, that the person who didn't want to go gets an extra one that year.
Yes. Because this is
So
your first time using one, right?
this is my first time using the Spirited. Yeah, I saw the first trailer for Haunting in Venice, and I thought it looked mid, nothing special, and kind of boring, frankly. But then the second trailer dropped and added more context to it, and it got a little more interesting. I didn't really get that much interesting for you, so I said, you know what? I'll use my Spirited,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll go see this one because I had a decent feeling about it.
Yeah.
And I am here to say that I feel confident in this pick.
Mm-hmm.
I I enjoyed this movie. I think Agatha Christie's stories should be adapted into movies a lot more often because I think they're very interesting. I like the murder mystery aspects and I like how she does it. Um, my favorite trope of all is that "and then there were none" thing, where they
Yes.
have the poem at the beginning where it lists off vague ways of how they die one by one, and then you don't know who's going to die, how exactly they're going to die, but it's going to relate to the poem somehow, and then they all die one by one, and one of the last two is the killer. I love that story. I love every single adaptation of that format, and I love that to death. So I actually hope that they do a remake or like another interpretation of that soon, because that would be very good. Especially now that they have this kind of ongoing, I guess Agatha Christie verse, I guess, because they started with the main character of Haunting in Venice in A Death on the Nile. I mean, I know he's probably not in And Then There Were None, but you know what I mean. Like this, he was
Hercule
on in A Death
Poirot.
on the Nile. Yeah, I'm gonna have to refer to you every time because I cannot remember that name because it's too French.
It's fair.
um, but yeah, he was in Death on the Nile. Neither of us saw that. Um, and it's the same character, same actor, which is interesting, but it's not really a sequel. It's just
No.
another story of his, which is kind of an interesting angle on that. Because you don't need to see each other to get each other, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, on to the movie itself. I really enjoyed the unique angle on this because as far as like Agatha Christie type books, it's usually like a murder mystery. It doesn't have any supernatural or horror aspects to it whatsoever. And it wasn't a whole like overbearing amount. There wasn't a whole lot of like ghost jump scares or whatever, but it was enough to keep you guessing. Because the guessing part was it a ghost that did the murders, or was it one of them locked in the castle? Was the thing. And I mean, again, spoiler territory. We all knew it was going to be someone in the castle, and it wouldn't be the ghost. And even I predicted he'll see an actual ghost at the end, right when he's like, there are no ghosts, and then he sees a ghost for real. Which I thought that one was pretty decent, especially that like there was nothing, like dark sky, and then the lightning crack, and then you see the ghost like floating off in the sky behind her.
Yeah.
That was actually a pretty cool shot.
Floating off in the sky, yeah. I will say,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
one thing that we are going to do our best to not do, I would rather not reveal who exactly was the murderer.
Right.
Because
Okay.
we're not going to be revealing that at the moment.
Yeah,
But
no,
in the
especially not in a
vein,
movie like this. I don't want to reveal that.
in the vein of that, um, like, I kind of saw it coming.
I did as well. That was
I sat there and I was like, oh, like this is kind of like it just seems like kind of the twist that a movie like this would have.
right. I will say right out the gate, Isaac the detective's name,
Hercule Poirot.
that guy. Um, the stuff that he noticed right out the gate, um, like when they're doing the seance, and
Yeah,
he's immediately just like, yeah, I see it. There's a guy in the fireplace, and then he kicks
yeah.
the wall of the fireplace, and a guy falls out, and he's like, I knew it because of this small, insignificant detail, and this other, even smaller, even less significant detail. And I was like, oh
Hercule
my, you, first of all, you didn't even show us either of those,
yeah.
so that's not fair.
Hercule Poirot is basically Agatha Christie's Sherlock Holmes. That's what he's
Yeah,
based on, basically. Uh,
basically.
Also,
Yeah.
Helen.
Yeah.
I went a little Isaac mode on the book this time because I
Oh my
wanted to
God.
know. If and then there were
He's
none.
taken
If he
Isaac
was in there.
mode to another level, you guys.
Yes.
I don't believe this.
I discovered something about and then there were none.
Yeah?
What the original title of the book was?
10 Little Indians?
Nope. It was
What?
not Indians originally. It was a different.
That's
It was
not
a
true.
diff. It
It was a
was.
different what?
It's a different
It was a different
ethnic
what,
group.
Isaac?
It's a different ethnic group. Um,
10 little Sri Lankans?
I actually can't say this without us getting
10 little
canceled.
Norwegians.
It starts with an
That
N.
is not true.
I'm sending
That
you a
is not
photo
true. You're
right
making
freaking now.
do not send me that photo. What are you doing?
It is the 1930. It did not get when it,
For the record, you guys, Isaac is talking about, it starts with an ethnic group. He's talking about the 10 little Native Americans. Obviously, there's no need to worry. Isaac, I told you not to send me that. How dare you? That's not true! That's not a real photo! That's not real! Isaac, I'm deleting this off my phone immediately. I never want to see this image again. Anyways, moving on. I'm deleting this photo off of my phone and I am removing your number from my contacts after this podcast.
I'm
Moving
deleting it off of
on.
my phone too.
Moving on to the story.
Yeah, moving back to A Haunting in Venice.
My biggest gripe about it is that
Okay.
I felt it was moving a little too fast.
The movie was only an
I don't know
hour and
if
45 minutes, wasn't it? Or was it
right.
2 hours?
I don't know if you felt that at all.
I did
But
actually.
especially I don't even like I don't know if it was because they were like that guy had a French accent or if they were like coming off as really smart, but they were like talking really fast and like moving through all the clues like really fast, and
They
some
were
stuff kind of went over my head.
the problem that they ran into is that the two main characters,
Yeah,
Hercule Poirot, the detective, and
and
the
Tina Fey.
lady and Tina Fey. Yeah, we'll just say that because I can't for the life of me
Hercule
remember.
Poirot and Tina Fey.
I cannot for the
I think her
life
name
of
was
me.
Tina Fey in the movie as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. They're both very smart people. Like they're both one's a journalist and one's a detective. They both have keen
No,
eyes
she's a
for.
horror. She's a mystery crime writer. She writes books.
I thought she was I thought she was a journalist because she was. Oh.
He constantly referred to her as the authoress.
Oh.
And she kept talking about how this was going to be her next big book. Maybe it was going a little too fast for you as well.
Maybe, possibly,
Right.
but
Yeah.
anyway.
Only other gripe. Sorry. One
Yeah,
last
I
thing.
go ahead.
Only other gripe I had besides that is again, there wasn't like anything exceptionally gripping. Like I was like actively engaged in and interested in the movie, but there wasn't anything like really, really grabbing me. You know what I mean? And like shaking me
Right.
around in my seat.
There was only like one moment in the whole movie that actually
Yeah,
got
but
me. Like, well, there's actually only
no, I don't
two
mean
really.
like, yeah, no, I mean like it wasn't anything going up like
Above and
above and
beyond.
beyond my interest, or even really just above.
Yeah.
Like it had me at like a perfect calm interest equally throughout the movie, but nothing sadly more than that.
Yeah. The I do have to say the point I was trying to make with those is like part of the reason why the movie's moving so quickly is because you have like 10 people there and you have to get through all of their
Oh,
things
that is
and
true.
Yeah, you have a lot of characters that are being interrogated, having their stories told. Plus, you have one, two, three murders throughout the movie that they're trying to solve. Granted, it all
Right.
ends up being the same person, but you know what I mean. Like they have to investigate each one both as if
In
it's connected and
semi-individual.
individual. Yeah.
Right.
So you
I
have
suppose more characters you have, more complex the story has to be, and with such a short runtime as an hour 40,
I think it's
you
actually
do have
I looked it
to
up. It's
move
actually
a
two.
little. Is it?
It was a 2-hour movie.
Wow. It felt like an hour 40.
I think I'm
Like when
fairly
they were
certain I was right.
when they got to the part where they were like unfolding everything, like here's the clue, there's this, and this, and that all adds up to you being the killer. Like I'm like, they're
No.
doing this now?
Okay, I was looking
Like
at
I thought
something
there was
different
gonna be
then.
like another. Is it? Is it an hour
It is.
40? I swear to God it
It's an
was.
hour 43. It's an hour and 43 minutes, which means
Okay.
which means how
Yeah,
long
that makes more
the
sense.
credits is. Like, because that includes credits, including that the actual movie itself is only like an hour 35
Hour
maybe.
30? Damn. Yeah,
It
that
was
was like
very quick.
briskly short. This I feel again, like I feel like this would just be slightly marginally better if it had like an extra 20 minutes. Like a director's unrated cut of this movie, I feel would be not extremely better, but you know,
Better.
noticeably better.
So my take as well on why it moves so quickly is
Uh-huh.
because the movie doesn't want you, because the thing about Agatha Christie books is a lot of the time, because I've read a couple, a lot of the time
Hmm.
her writing style lends it to the fact that you don't find out who the killer is till the end. Like you might have a couple ideas, but you don't know for sure by the end. And I think that's what they're trying
Right.
to do with keeping the movie. Like, cause me, I was like, okay, it's gonna be this person. Like, cause even I was sitting there going, oh, it's this person. Even though the movie was as short as it was, I'm like, oh, it
Yeah.
was that. So
They
I
were
think they're trying to rush through it so that way the audience doesn't get to the end before they do.
yeah, like they don't have time to figure it out for themselves is what you're getting at.
Yeah, like they don't want they want that final reveal to be as shocking as it is as if you were reading an Agatha Christie book.
Yeah, here's a clue. Anyways, moving on. It's like, no, wait, go back. Like there
Yeah,
was literally moments where it was like, this is weird. This isn't as it's supposed to be.
the thing
Anyways, next scene. And
the
I was
thing
like,
I
wait,
liked
no. I didn't have time to process what that meant.
the thing I liked about the movie is that the clues he used to solve the thing were clues that weren't even really presented in the movie. They were very
Yeah,
throw
no,
off to
like
the side things.
it was just like it's like I noticed when you did that. Like they didn't say like, aha, a clue. Like it's
Yeah.
like we found this in the attic or something. It was just like, yeah, I saw you at the beginning of the night. You did this, and that's what set me off. That led me to notice this thing. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I did that happen? And I was like, yeah, I'm
I did like the whole thing of like, because at the start of the movie he's this like defeated, like almost completely given up detective, you know,
yeah,
and that like the point of the movie was like the point of the story is him getting back in the game, and this case really like helping him overcome the problems he has that led him away from helping people. uh and it just kind of ended because like the final scene in the movie where you know he's on his rooftop and this dude comes and sees him for like a thing, his energy is completely different from the start of the movie.
yeah. He's switched it around.
Like, it was really it was a cool transformation story, and like also the dude's mustache is on point. Like
I
the
mean, you gotta be.
bruh's facial
My guy,
hair.
he lives in Venice. Facial hair
Like
on point is a law.
fair, even on the women. Like it's fair.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about the movie without going too deep into, spoiling anything. So,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, I felt all the actors played their roles very well.
Mhm.
I, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Tina Fey, but I found her character, like, she was pretty decent. I felt that she did a good job in that one too. It wasn't overbearingly. Um, there was some points where I felt like she was trying to cut in on what the detective was doing. Like she was playing co-detective, even though like it was like kind of his thing that he was doing.
Well, there was a reason behind that. It's
Though
because
I know there was a reason behind that, but like I mean, like this. Okay, this is. Yeah, I just felt like. You get what I'm saying, right?
I get what you're saying. Yes, there was a reason behind it, but it does feel like she's like
She's
she
trying to
takes over.
co-pilot when he doesn't entirely need that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
All right, Haunting in Venice. I'm going to sit this rightfully at the bottom of 7. Like just broke out from the 6.
Hmm.
I'll give it a nice, very low 7. It could have been a high 7, but I feel like it was just missing that extra amount of oomph to really capture me. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Um, yeah. For me, I'm actually. It was actually kind of funny when I was putting this together, like knowing we were going to record this, because I'm like, this is a nice little coincidence, because I'm I'm gonna give this one a 6 as well. Actually, very high 6,
Wow, you
very high
Satanist!
6.
How dare you?
Yeah, very high 6, but a
Okay,
6 nonetheless. Just
all right,
because.
and
Right, go ahead.
and um, per my spirited,
Hmm.
per the rules, are you gonna demand that I give
No,
you
I
the
am
free
not.
one?
I'm not going
All
to do
right.
that. No,
While we learn, while we
it
learn,
was good.
yeah, it was definitely better than the last one.
No, we don't talk about the last one. We don't talk
We
about the
don't
pink
talk
one.
about the last one,
We
not
don't talk
until
about the pink.
December.
We don't talk about the pink one.
Okay, no, I do not. All right. All right. Well, that should just about wrap up our reviews for this week's movies. We don't have another one next week.
No, we do not.
No, but next time we'll be in the theater. We are going the 4th of October.
Hmm.
So we will be there just in time to scoop together a definitely three movie watch, but possibly a fourth if there's time and space.
And money.
But and money. That's true. Um, on our definites list, we are definitely going to be seeing Dumb Money, starring our boy Paul Dano.
Paul Dano.
Paul Dano.
Second movie he's been in.
Yeah,
This year.
ever. Wow,
Oh,
yeah, he's on fire.
I meant this year.
Yeah. And we're also going to be dipping ourselves into The Creator, which has
Yeah.
been in the uh in the back of our minds since we saw the first trailer.
Yeah,
That
that's
it
gonna be
looks
the big movie
very
this year.
Yeah, big movie this year, very prominent looking. I'm really liking the area that I'm really liking the direction that it's leaning towards. I feel like that's going to be an interesting story.
Yeah.
And then we are rounding it off that night with a surprising entry into this series, Saw X. I kind of didn't expect, um, Jigsaw himself to come back for another movie. I thought he was kind
It
of
is
done with it,
kind of
but
hype that
that's a nice
Tobin Bell is
surprise.
back.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like this one's going to be a special kind of something, and hopefully it'll be good. Um, Things in our back pocket that either we may cut out or may squeeze in, or I might go to see on my own, is a Expendables 4. We still have to watch 2 and 3 beforehand, but like if we find a way to fit it in, we might be able to fit it in.
Mhm.
And I don't know if they're actually going to bring this to theaters, but I will keep an eye out for it. There is a movie called She Came to Me that did seem to catch my eye. So I'll keep a lookout for that. That's probably going
Yeah.
to be a me thing. I don't even know. I'll let you know how that is if I find it somewhere, Isaac.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, things are looking pretty good in the future for our movies, especially October. October is going to be a big month. We're going to have a lot of pretty exciting things to talk about, especially on Halloween. We'll have something special for Halloween, won't we, Isaac?
Yes.
Oh
Soon now.
yes. All right.
Gonna be a
Um.
fun. That's gonna be a fun one.
All right. Well, that sounds like a plan then.
Mhm.
This will wrap up this week's episode of Cinema Regulars. Isaac, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Uh, make sure to spay and neuter your pets.
Isaac, you can't spay and neuter the same pet. That's ridiculous. Spay or neuter.
Fair,
You can't
fair.
do both.
Thank you,
Silly goose. What are you
thank you,
thinking?
thank you, veterinarian Kellen.
Yeah, you're welcome. Of course. All right.
Uh,
That's a wrap. Roll credits.